You probably think China and America are worlds apart.
Separated by thousands of miles and centuries of history.
But we're going to set the record straight.
We're about to explore two of the greatest cities on Earth.
And we've got 24 hours to discover what it is that ties these cities and all of us together. I'm Bridget Trong, and I live and work in North America.
So good.
I'm Amy Lyons, and I moved to China 10 years ago.
Together, we're on a mission to reveal the surprising connectivity between American and Chinese cities.
The stories we find will surprise you
as we uncover how two cities share one heartbeat. This is Sister Cities. There's no more universal language than music. And in 1981, 5 teenagers brought Shanghai and San Francisco together in a remarkable way. This is Chunming Mo and Wei Gong Li, 2 members of the Shanghai Five, a quintet of music students who broke new ground when they left Shanghai to study at the San Francisco Conservatory of Music. You started your career here in 1981. That's extraordinary. Tell us about that first day when you arrived.
All my life, and I never sleep alone in the room by myself because I always have somebody else.
And all of a sudden,
I'm by myself. And I remember the first night, I was so nervous, and I would just have my lights on all night, basically. But it was nice things about we have 5 of us, so we kind of have little group.
The 5 of us were the first cultural exchange program.
And I guess did you guys form quite a close bond and connection during those times together in America?
We had no choice because we were put in the house. We lived together for a year. We did many wonderful and terrible things together.
This was a very important moment between the 2 cities, Shanghai and San Francisco. Culture was seen as something that the city was investing in, but it was not common at all, as it is today, for Chinese students to come to the United States and study music.
Was there a time in your journey as a student that really allowed you to feel comfortable in San Francisco?
Once we're into the plane, then it's feel much more comfortable.
Chunming, I came across one of your first performances here, and I believe you were 17 years old in 1982. I'd love to play it for you.
And I also have one more thing that I want to show you. I want to see how this makes you feel.
Oh no. That's my first trio I play, but who is playing this?
This is you.
I never heard this.
Really?
When was the last time you heard that recording?
I never heard it.
You've never heard this?
You've never heard this recording before of that performance? You're kidding me, I didn't realize that.
Chunming, how does it feel to hear it for the first time again in 4 decades?
It's quite inside myself. It's very emotional, and bring me back so many years of back then. The memory a lot. I feel very honored to represent the conservatory back then, and it was just all the music connect me from the east to the west.
I think learning a second culture other than your own is so crucial, because once you know there's a second culture that's different from you, you can easily imagine there's a third and a fourth one, and that makes you a different person.
We're heading into late afternoon in San Francisco, when the colors get a little more vivid and you can see the streets in a new light. Take a stroll through any of San Francisco's iconic neighborhoods, including here in the Mission, and you'll see colorful, stunning artistry everywhere you turn.
The reality is that they're artists and they want to express themselves. It's just that they don't have $40,000 or $80,000 a year to go to art school.
One artist named Crayon has spent decades giving city streets and alleys a new voice, making his hometown even more colorful while encouraging young artists to pick up an aerosol can and find their voice. Wes Wong is a student of Crayon. He's part of a new generation of aerosol artists transforming blank walls into stories.
Like, as a creative, we're shooting for a moving target, right? Whether you're a chef, whether you're like an architect or an aerosol artist, like, it's not like we have a clear goal of what the success is, right? We don't have that point B. We're just creating because we love to do it.
Street art as a whole probably has a way of connecting people around the world in general, no matter what you do, what your passions are, what your hobbies are, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, any creatives across the board, you know, whatever you're making, the end result is agnostic of language. So anybody from anywhere can see our end result, whether it be, you know, some amazing dish of food or, you know, some art, and it doesn't need words to express the meaning for it.
Well, it's interesting to see you use San Francisco as your canvas. I'd like to use it as my canvas for once with you guys.
I brought the colors for this particular piece because we have tags. So basically I have to come by every so often. My murals get tagged on.
Now, as a first timer, what do I need to know about how to hold the can, how to spray it? Where do I begin?
First of all, make sure that it's not spraying towards you.
Okay. Step number one.
Right, there you go, yeah. Controlled burst like that, yeah. There you go.
Like that? Okay. There's something oddly gratifying about this.
It's almost like airbrush, you know? You're really never touching the wall. Pretty good. I should give you a certificate.
Thank you, I'll take it. Am I being replaced right now? Is that what's happening, Wes?
Actually, Wes is just gonna bring some yellow down here, and Wes is gonna show us how to make a clean line with this black line.
We're just gonna come around. I'm actually gonna angle the can so that I'm not directly hitting the wall, so I don't get that fuzz.
I really appreciate you lifting the veil on this stuff, because there's so much that goes into it, not only technically, but the meaning and the purpose and the passion behind it.
Of course, there's a huge culture behind it, but also art is a human story. I think when we do art, we inspire, because we're all humans. We're all going through the same thing.
It's true, the best public art doesn't just celebrate a city. It asks us to explore our own lives and stories. In this abandoned factory, one of Shanghai's leading artists is celebrating his city with found objects that are familiar, wild, and unexpected.
你觉得现在上海算是一个创作性的城市吗？
当然，我觉得中国其实最有创作力的城市应该是上海、北京吧。我是觉得在上海生活是特别好的。
Oh my goodness, let's do this. Me on my throne.
这是我的工作室，欢迎。你看这个是我最近在做的一个展览，在成都的当代影像馆做的客展，这是一个海报。我主要是做摄影的，这是摄影作品。这个是我做的一个戏剧，叫《爸爸的时光机》，在美国也演出过。这个作品呢，它拍成了一部纪录片电影。 这个作品就是我对父亲想说的话，想谢谢他们。
然后这一位是谁？
这个就是这个剧中的爸爸，这个是剧中的儿子，这个是剧中的爸爸。你看，啊，我来操作一下。其实我不是一个特别好的木偶演员哈，我来试一下。你好。
哦，哇哦，你好。
你好，我的名字叫爸爸。
你好，爸爸，我是 Amy。
幸会，非常高兴认识你。
我也是。
Like Crayon said in San Francisco, art is a human story. And Ma Liang's most famous project captured that spirit here in China.
I love it.
He circled the entire country, telling stories of people and their dreams.
然后这个前面的那个摄影项目很有名，能跟我介绍一下吗？
作品叫移动照相馆。然后在2012年的时候呢，我花了1年的时间，我和团队，我们一共7个人，驾驶了3辆车，在中国绕了一圈，去了35个城市。当时有2万多个人报名，但是呢，我一共只拍了1600个家庭，给他们拍那种免费的全家福啊、结婚照。在这个过程里，我见到了很多很多不同的人，每一个城市有不同的文化。对，其实人跟人啊，其实虽然我们长得都不一样，但是其实也有很多共同的地方，一定是的。包括中国和外国，我相信，这是我人生最饱满的一次体验。
In San Francisco, people are starting to end their workday and think about connecting over dinner.
This next stop is Chinatown.
Yes!
That bond between people, food, and tradition is the heartbeat of America's largest Chinatown. And San Francisco's only Michelin-starred Chinese restaurant, Mr. Ju's, and pioneering chef owner, Brandon Ju.
I really love Chinatown. It's like always been a very bustling neighborhood.
You know, coming here and looking around, just based on the architecture and stylistically, you can tell it really is the oldest Chinatown in the States.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's fascinating because, you know, a lot of the architecture, a lot of the adornment of this neighborhood came after the fire.
In 1906, a powerful earthquake rocked San Francisco. The resulting fires destroyed 80% of the city and left Chinatown in ashes. But the leaders of the community found a way to rebuild Chinatown. And now, over a century later, it endures as one of the most vibrant neighborhoods in San Francisco.
Most of this neighborhood burned down, and they actually were trying to kick out the Chinese people out of this neighborhood. What the community did was they architecturally built this to be a place that felt like Chinatown. And by doing so, it kind of like planted some deeper roots, even like structurally here, and said like, we're staying here. The food that has become Chinese American food, this was a cuisine that was created out of really like ingenuity and really came from a place of understanding how to survive in America. Understanding some of that happened here, like, really gives me a lot of pride. This neighborhood is about the struggle of how to coexist. I think some of the beauty behind the food is that food is always that very easy vessel to put in front of two people that may see differently, but they can still enjoy the same plate of food.
In Shanghai, food delivers the same human connection as it does in San Francisco. This is Yew Garden, a historic neighborhood like San Francisco's Chinatown, except it was built over 450 years ago. It stood the test of time, as has its most famous restaurant, Lu Bolang. Wang Shijia is Deputy General Manager and dim sum master of one of China's most famous restaurants.
你主要是做点心对吧？
对，主要做点心，点心是我的专业。
你已经做点心多长时间了？
我93年进的绿波了。
哦，我93年出生。
啊，那93年说明是个好日子。
就是。
对，是个好日子。
我们今天一起可以做一些点心吗？
当然了，我今天教你一道中国小点心，保证你学会。
哦，那太好了，我们走吧。
好。对，我今天呢要教给你一个叫中国的小寿桃。那现在我给你看到，这像2块面团啊，它呢是一块白色的面团和一块红色的面团。红色的面团呢是让它呢这个桃子当中呢透露一点点红色的这个颜色呢，感觉这个小桃子更加熟、更加甜，让它的感官上和外形上呢更加诱人。那么我先给你一个小面团。
谢谢。
你拿一个搓圆
，OK，
搓圆，行吗？红色放在底部，用你的大拇指把它开始，对，把它变成一个小碗状，对，哎，慢慢来，慢慢来。这个馅心它是腰果，黄油。黄油是你们的常用的东西，黄油，然后还有椰丝，就是那个椰子的椰丝。好，您。
Very interesting hearing that they use butter as a main ingredient in this filling here because you don't often see dairy products in traditional Chinese cooking.
好，你然后把它放在桌上。
OK。
正形，把它下面圆的，
哎，不错。
哎，你看，现在我们的2个寿桃其实姐妹桃哎。
I don't know if you know this, I'm not the most skilled in the kitchen. Tell me about this chicken here. It looks like it's been through a few things, it's seen a few things, it's experienced a lifetime. It's
That is true in multiple ways because these are well exercised, well fed on their own right.
She looks lean. She looks like she's been working out. Yeah.
And like what that does is like, you know, the animal's moving, the blood's flowing, and what's happening for us as diners that's just making their meat taste better.
And what are we doing to her today?
It was salted for a couple hours, then it got blanched. After it blanches, it's very much in the same technique as Peking duck. Kind of what we try to do at Mr. Ju's is really like showcase the seasonal with the traditional. These are daikons. I feel like these are just so beautiful. Like the pattern within these, like when we talk about like inspirations, a lot of the inspiration I get is literally from the ingredients themselves. Yeah, all I'm looking to try to do is like caramelize these.
She could smell this. This smells like my childhood.
It does.
Just a walk.
Like for this dish, it reminds me a lot about the banquets that used to happen and the celebrations that we would have and eating way too many shrimp chips.
Never, never.
Food memories and how they attach to our celebrations are a big part of our culture. So now it's all super brown and crispy and everything. So take the legs off, right between the joint there.
It is juicy too.
Oh yeah. A lot of what I've appreciated about learning about Chinese cuisine is really how natural the presentations are. There's already so much beauty in the natural shapes of everything. And having food look like what it is really important. These guys, like, we'll just put a couple here and there.
It gives it a nice pop of color too.
I think my memory of like Chinese dining has always been like that it's a bustling, energetic space. I wanted this restaurant to be approachable. I wanted this restaurant to be accessible. And our mission was to get people back to Chinatown. Our mission was to have this space be operating again because it's a historic space to Chinatown as a restaurant. Our mission still to this day is to still continue to develop Chinese American food and continue to train the techniques that are inspiring to us and hopefully to another generation of cooks.
This is a slow motion moment. It's glistening. That's how perfect it is. It's glistening. Into a little dabby. The taste buds are really happy right now. You can taste everything.
啊，这个我要隆重推出了，您知道这？
这是我做的。
对，然后这就刚才您做的。
I'm very proud of this, guys. I made this my very self, and it's got pride of place on this table.
对，所以说我会说您做的特别好，因为您看它的这个成熟以后，那些红色就若隐若现的，映出了它的胚皮那种，就像我们女孩子打的胭脂那般，非常的红润好看。艾米，我给你介绍一下啊，在这个上面我们就有几道菜，你知道上面的那个是什么吗？
是那个来自鱼的那个宝贝吗？
不是鱼子，但这个呢就是来自你们西方的，叫针织醋，意大利针织醋。
像 caviar， 是 caviar 吗？
不是，它是一个分子，分子菜。分子菜其实它里边是一包醋。然后呢，它把它变成一粒粒的水珠般的针织出。我们这个材料，其实这道菜我们就是中西结合，就运用了你们西方人的那个针织醋就分子料理的技术，运用到了我们中餐内。哎，对，因为在上海，特别在绿波廊，我们是一个海纳百川的，也是一个就是吸收各大海派菜的。时间的变迁当中，自然而然的就被市场给遗忘了。但是我希望在绿波廊里，我们的传统点心还是能够有所保留。我就希望呢，我现在的这一些正能量，还包括我的记忆，能传给我更多的那些徒弟们，和像类似于我这样爱好我们中式点心，对我们中国美食有一点点兴趣的那些人。那么我也希望呢，我们中国美食呢，就通过我们这样一代一代人的传承下去，能给更多的我们的美食家，更多的你们国外友人所了解我们中国美食是怎么样的。
Our day in Shanghai and San Francisco is coming to a close.
An ocean apart, two pianists play the same song.
Four hands sharing one melody.
San Francisco and Shanghai may be thousands of miles apart, but a shared humanity keeps us close.
This is a tale of two cities with stories to tell. sister cities.
Yesterday,
today,
and tomorrow.